Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. This is News Done Differently, 10:04 p.m., the 20th day of March, the year 2022. Let's begin by looking at our flight radar. That's why I'm a few minutes late. I got caught up with watching one of the United States drones, Forte 11, one we talk about all the time. It is a Northrop Grumman RQ-4B Global Hawk, and normally she flies down here, and throughout the afternoon, that's what I was watching. She made a pass down this side of the coast of Russia and Georgia, and then began to go north and east, and then basically followed along, observing the border. And I think this might be a point of interest. I pointed this out last night, actually 2 nights ago. I said that we had, gosh, it's probably been 4 days ago now, we had the first pictures of troops moving into this area. And over the past 48 hours, we've had a lot of footage of troops moving into this area. The expectation is that they're going to come down and try to take Lviv, and along the way cut off the supply lines of support coming in from Poland, heading eastward into Kyiv and to Kharkiv and various other points. Now, at the moment, Forte went up to almost the North Sea and is now circling back around. So we will keep an eye on that throughout the evening. And again, thank you for just joining us. This is News Done Differently, and we do have some news to share as our night goes along. And we start out with this story from this video was uploaded about an hour ago. This is Pushkin Square, less than 1,000 meters from Red Square and the Kremlin. So probably 1,000 meters. That would be almost 3/4 of a mile on that system. So well within shouting distance, and well within the notification of Putin, if he is there, and we'll get to that. It is these people know the risks of challenging the regime. They're on the street in spite of major potential personal costs. And again, this comes after the very much staged propaganda, WWE meets Hitler show that Putin put on, which we featured the other day. And it's a real quick view, as you can imagine. You're not going to be your average camera person in a situation like this, and focus and concentrate on the shots, and remember you got an audience, and what do they want to see. And no, this is a situation where if you're the first person grabbed by the cops, you're guaranteed to go to prison for 15 years. So some brave people out there saying no to a war they don't believe in, but due to our monolithic thinking, it is going to be every Russian every Russian's going to be hated for possibly generations, is my prediction of what happens when this is all said and done. And a lot of them will be appalled when they learn the truth of what has been happening. Takes us to our second story of the night, and this came in an hour ago from Rolling Stone, one of the Rolling Stone magazine writers, Hunter Walker. And there's a witness who's claiming that Trump's chief of staff was on the phone call planning the March 6th, the January 6th march on the Capitol. So we talked the other night about how there are already 3 people that have pled guilty and are going to be testifying against Gates, the congressman from Florida. It just, things are starting to trickle up. And while we learn things publicly, there are things that are probably percolating pretty hard that the public doesn't know about. Okay. So with that being said, let's get back to our stories. U.S. government launches the kleptocracy asset recovery rewards program and will pay up to $5 million for information leading to the seizure of the Russian oligarch's property that can be linked to crimes. Those of you that watch the show know that I'm involved in doing this kind of stuff, and we've been doing it for the goodness of mankind. I'll just say some members of that community are very diligently watching things now, that not that they weren't before, not that all of us weren't before, but it just gives you an idea of the power of open source intelligence. And we do have responsibilities that go along with that. Okay. Material gets held and doesn't get shown because it may expose troops. Anyway, anonymous hackers are trying to undermine Putin. We know about that. We've been reporting on it. This is tonight's kind of update. This comes from the BBC, who is also reporting on it. And they spoke directly to 5 of the main Anon groups about their cyber war on Putin and how they're going to be escalating attacks in the coming days. I'm going to come back to that. That's our little feel-good moment of the night. Ukraine President Zelensky says, quote, "Sooner or later, we will begin to have talks with Russia, possibly in Jerusalem. That's the right place to find peace." Well, I know exactly why. I've been doing a series on Sundays, our modern day world in the book of Revelation. And those are only available on YouTube, by the way. For those watching on other sites and other platforms, thank you all, wherever you're at. And if you're on YouTube, you can chat. If there aren't any moderators in there, then, self-moderate. If somebody's saying something you don't like, just simply block them so you don't have to see it. But I hope if you are in chat, everybody's being an adult, and I'm assuming you are. Jerusalem is the right place for peace. And then Zelensky is Jewish, so that kind of, the whole concept of Ukraine being Nazi, it didn't hold a lot of water to begin with, and even less so now. And at the same time, there is the There is the brigade in the Donbass region that has ties to extreme right wing philosophies. Okay, um, and I've asked some people, that are there about this, and everybody's aware of it in Ukraine. It's not like, oh gosh, I wonder if they know that. Yes, yes, they do. They're very well aware of it. That is not the biggest problem at the moment, despite propaganda being spread by, well, never mind. I'm not going to do any other than one little political swipe tonight. I'm not going to do it. The people I talk to are people that are in Belarus, okay, and in Ukraine, and people in Belarus are scared to death that they're going to be the next Ukraine. I've told you this. I told you this last night. And they're being forced. They feel their president is trying to force them into attacking Ukraine, and they don't want to. But the idea that people from Ukraine are passing along to me is that, yes, there's a problem there, but that's not our main problem at the moment. The main problem is Russians are killing babies, and we've got some Russian propaganda that is just absolutely it's unbelievable. But yet it's the only thing they are hearing in many situations. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Sunday that Israel was undertaking many efforts to arrange top-level peace talks between his country and Russia, and suggested they may take place in Jerusalem. Now, meanwhile, in Israel defense sources, several intel warnings suggest Iranian intention to carry out attacks via air, sea, and on land. The Israeli army is preparing retaliatory options. So, and that came in just 4 hours ago. We've talked on here in the past that this is not a world war. This may be prelude to World War III, but this is not a world war. In order to have world war, we have to have conflicts in many situations in many different places. And not, I'm not talking about hundreds of places, don't get me wrong, but we're getting there. And it's becoming more and more terrifying because we actually are moving incredibly quickly in a 3.5, almost 4 week period here. Let me get to that story and tie everything together here. This came in 2 hours ago. Russia says they have launched sea-based cruise missiles from naval vessels based in the Caspian Sea toward targets in East Ukraine. So, again, here's the Black Sea, and here's the Sea of Azov. So, let me get up here so we can see everything. Persian Gulf's down here, Red Sea over here, Mediterranean Sea here, and the Caspian. So Russia is probably launching over their own territory. They may be launching over Georgia, but it's not going to. Georgia's not going to put up too much of a fuss over it. They may complain, but Russia really doesn't care. We'll get to John in just a second. It's 10:19 p.m. and I'm going to stay on until at least 11 p.m. and I may be back on later tonight. The reason Russia Find the report. Okay, well, earlier today, we got a lot of stuff to get to. Earlier today, Russia gave an ultimatum to the Ukraine, basically saying that 5 a.m. Their time, 11 p.m. our time, that Mariupol, Ukraine can surrender Mariupol, and the deadline to surrender there is 5 a.m. And as expected, Ukraine rejected the Russian demand ultimatum of surrender on the southeast city of Mariupol. Yes, now we sadly wait and see what Russia does and when they do it. That was my whole point, was staying on until 11 o'clock, because that is the time of surrender. And a lot of the buzz is that if they don't surrender at that time, then we will soon, shortly thereafter, see something incredibly devastating, even more so than has been inflicted. Because there's a time, you surrender by this time period, and people have been joking, or what are you going to do? And it's not a joke at all. We could see something incredibly devastating and possibly world changing. Okay. If a chemical, a biological, any kind of weapon of mass destruction is used, the world's going to know about it. And it's not going to be hidden. It'll be propagandized, but you just consider the source. And if this is not only the beginning of World War III, but the prelude to Armageddon, then this is light versus darkness. And for those that don't know, Armageddon is a biblical term for the last war between good and evil, indicating that there either have been other wars between good and evil, or that there are wars in progress, possibly, and Armageddon will be the big one. Listen in Sunday of next week, and we'll go into depth on that. If we're still around. Okay. And I apologize. It's this, yeah, I know, blame it on the computer, but it really is. This computer's, my other one crashed, and this one was older than the one I had that crashed, and the keys stick, and anyway, we're getting through the news. It's just done differently. This is grizzled old war veteran and reporter John Sweeney from England, and he's been in Kyiv. We've played a couple of his reports before, and this one tonight is just a little bit different.
So, series of pretty big bangs. You just heard one now. I can't tell whether they're incoming or outgoing. These are the loudest bangs I've heard in the city centre. They're the loudest bangs I've heard in the city centre since the start of the war. One of my pals, Emil Gesson, who's former Royal Marine, said it's very, very difficult in cities because of the concrete, because of the echo, to work out what's happening. I can't feel this through my boots, so I'm hoping it's outgoing. But having said that, boom, boom. So I don't know whether it's outgoing or incoming. I think it's outgoing, but these are serious big bangs. So what the military think tanks are saying is that the Russians have kind of given up. They think on taking Kiev, what they're going to do is sit back at artillery range and smash the people and the city to pieces.
By the way, we said from the get-go that they would never encircle Kiev. They would never take Kiev. They didn't have the forces to do that. And yet everybody else kept telling you, oh my gosh, they're marching to Kiev. They've almost got, and when none of that was true.
So maybe this is the start of their new tactics. Once again, Vladimir Putin, to fuck off.
Yes, missile strike in the same building, just a few apartments away, and John Sweeney survived, and somebody assumed he didn't and wrote, "Rest in peace, John Sweeney." He had been reporting from Kyiv. This looks to be his last video, as an explosion from the air seems to have taken place in close proximity. And he writes back, of course, I left my finger on the pad. He writes back, "The reports of my death are over exaggerated, but I'm sorry I didn't even show that." Let's do that one more time.
Outgoing.
Okay, you heard it. So let me just run it up here.
Tanks are saying is that the Russians have kind of given up. They think on taking Kiev, what they're going to do is sit back at artillery range and smash the people and the city to pieces. So maybe this is...
Now, they may send in the Syrians and they may send in various foreign fighters, but they're not going to, they don't have the forces at the moment anyway, without tremendous reserves coming up. And we're going to talk about that too.
Is the start of their new tactics. Once again, Vladimir Putin, to fuck off.
So again, the old boy survived, and he wrote back, "The reports of my death are over exaggerated, but saying RIP is nasty, very," and tells him to. So Kyiv has been getting pounded tonight. And speaking of the F-bomb, Ukraine rejected the Russian demand, and basically they said the same thing from Mariupol that the Navy crew said to the Navy Russian warship in the second day of combat. They told them to go F themselves, basically. Over 1 million Ukrainians left without electricity, and 278,000 without gas due to ongoing Russian wars. So a lot of people without power, and not just in Mariupol. The big bangs that John Sweeney was talking about. We've got, thanks to somebody, we got some video here.
What the fuck was that? Oh, Jesus, this is a bad one.
Okay. Camera 4, you'll see the first explosion right back here. Camera 2, you'll see the big explosion, and you'll also see a reflection of the big explosion from camera 1.
What the fuck was that?
Now here comes the second explosion.
Oh, Jesus, this is a bad one.
And there's the reflection of that in camera 1.
Cam 4, Cam 2, it's all lighting up.
So some big explosions in Kyiv. A shopping mall, a multi-floor shopping mall, and the parking lot that goes along with it blowed up, on fire, cars damaged. Not sure how many lives have been lost. It just happened within a few hours ago. It took roughly 30 seconds for the blast sound to arrive, which means the was roughly 10 kilometers away from the that's from the cameras. Okay. Last night and 2 nights ago, we talked about this area being and earlier in this episode about this area being an area for focus. 16 hours ago, the General Staff of the Ukraine Army says that they too are fearing a Belarusian offensive in the region. So we're going to keep our eyes on that. We talked about, I actually did a brief live that we had information that Putin had told his generals that they're going to do a drill for the doomsday scenario, that Putin's going to fly from Moscow to his bunker, that he'd already moved his wife and kids there into an underground city. And there was just an awful lot of activity today over Europe with, as you can see, multinational planes, and a lot of surveillance, a lot of loops, but also a lot of refueling, a lot of reconnaissance, and a lot of different kinds of aircraft. So it just kind of plays into what we're all kind of expecting, that something could be coming up here in the next 25 minutes at 5 a.m. And our
фермерам нашим, що допомогли витягнути.
Our tractor towing tanks
Все рівно буде.
Continues.
Ну,
And you gotta realize
228-й
that
батальйон территориальной обороны теперь будет с техникой.
each one of these machines is about
Дякуємо фермерам нашим, що допомогли
that tractor
витягнути.
is probably $500,000. Each one of these tanks are
Все рівно буде.
between $2.5 and $3 million.
Ну, 228-й.
And this is no joke. The Ukrainian government told its citizens, any Russian equipment you get, and if you sell it, you won't be taxed on it. So we're seeing a lot of this equipment turn back up in the Ukrainian army being repurposed, and the Z's being covered up with blue and yellow. Z's being covered up with blue and yellow flags, and if they're selling them back to their own country, it's no wonder these farmers are out there trying to cash in, if you will. I told you earlier that I had some of the absolute most repulsive attempt at propaganda since Baghdad Bob. And for those that are old enough, you remember that in the war in Iraq, the second war, that the propaganda minister of Iraq was standing at the back door of a building talking to his people about how Iraqi forces were annihilating Americans and blah, blah, blah. And they basically were just outside the door getting ready to take him down. Just listen. The lie. Keep telling the lie. Keep telling the lie. No, they don't believe you. I wonder why. Because it's not true. Speaking of things that are a little hard to believe, let's take a break from Ukraine and Russia for just a moment and see what Ted Cruz is up to. Well, he's wearing a mask. Don't know if I would have anticipated that happening. And they don't have the actual video, but it will be coming out soon. He was in Bozeman, Montana, and he missed a flight in Bozeman, Montana. He got really upset about it, so upset that law enforcement had to be called when he wouldn't calm down. He was not taken into custody, but hopefully he will be duly embarrassed over the next 48 hours by the mass media for his unsenatorial-like conduct. For those like me that like the Big Bang Theory, you'll remember that Sheldon Cooper tried to go to this very airport in Bozeman, Montana. Actually went to the airport and got robbed. Let's check back in real quick, please, with our flight radar and see what we have in the air. We still have Forte 11 now. I'm not sure what happened with the rest of the flight plan, but they might have recycled data. But okay, we'll keep an eye there. It's not going to fly into Belarus. It's not going to fly into Ukraine. But it should be flying at about 51,000 feet, and so it has a wide scope of observation. It's flying at 50,175. Okay, I missed it by a little bit. Let's see what else is out here. Jake 31. Where are we at here? Jake 31 is a Boeing combat sentinel. And, well, flying over the water, but okay. All right. Flying down the coast of Norway, having left Great Britain. All right. And we've got an Air Force Stratotanker flying along with him. So we've got a tanker and we've got a combat sentinel. Probably some heavy recon efforts going to be happening later on this evening, if this will move down, around this northern part of Russia, or this may still be part of the NATO exercises. I'm not sure if they're ongoing, still ongoing or not. So we'll keep track of that through the night, and we got about 18 minutes until 11 o'clock our time. Again, that is when the deadline is for Ukraine to surrender Mariupol, and Ukraine, as I said, gave a similar response to Russia, as did the first soldiers captured. We were originally told that they were killed by Russian forces, but found out later that they were the first prisoners of the second invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Okay, to get to a specific thing here. We're going to go to our little feel-good, our feel-good story of the night. And this may be one of, if not the smartest dog on record. Two kids just playing ball. Dog sitting over here watching them. Ball goes in the koi pond. This is in probably Japan. Young boy's reaching over too far. Dog sees where the ball's at. Pulls the kid back to safety. Yeah. Now this is probably staged because it zooms in when the ball goes into the pond, but nonetheless, pretty impressive. So that's our little break from all the talk of doom and gloom, and with more yet to come. Here's a little more of what Russian propaganda looks like. Again, the people of Russia are only, I'm going to turn, the people of Russia only seeing one thing. They're only seeing what their government is allowing them to see. And this is one of the things the government is showing them over and over and over again. This came, it's being shown in Belarus too. And that's how we got it out. So On the surface, it looks like ominous music. Okay, looks like these guards are coming. Okay, here come the bad guys. You see the guy's got a rush on his toboggan. But no, they're not the bad guys. They're the protectors. Justice Clarence Thomas was hospitalized with flu-like symptoms. He underwent tests and was diagnosed with an infection. He's being treated with intravenous antibiotics. This came out today. He was actually hospitalized on Friday, and Republican spokespeople have made it very clear that he doesn't, adamant about, he doesn't have COVID. This isn't COVID, which tells me that he's got COVID because they lie. This is one of those, just when you think it can't get too much more barbaric. Russian tank crew drove up to this old people's home. It's like a retirement community. Started shooting point blank. 56 senior citizens were killed and 15 taken hostage. Just remember this stuff when your pro-Russian friends start talking. You know, just have them watch the show. Again, we were been talking about for the 2 or 3 days about coming in from Belarus, coming in from this zone of Belarus into Ukraine, trying to cut off supplies flowing in from Poland. And here's yet another another shot of a column of heavy machinery coming into the area. Now, and by the way, it's on TikTok. Let me see if I can get it stopped at a point where I don't have my hands on it. Have to start it over here. These are being marked with red squares, okay? We've seen the Z, and right there, right here. These are the markings. When you see this mark on equipment moving forward, you'll know they're more than likely they're Belarus troops. This is one of the booms that John Sweeney heard on his phone. This is one of the large explosions that we talked about, that this is the one that hits the shopping mall. And I don't think it has any volume. It's a CCTV, closed circuit camera. We'll watch it one more time. We'll watch it one more time. Again, the camera's focused on the parking lot until the explosion happens, and there's such a concussion that it jars the camera up. Okay, and you see glass flying from over there, landing over here. That gives you an idea. Debris still falling down. That gives you an idea of the power of the weapon that was used in this particular explosion. And again, we talked. Let me get down to him here. Here we are. I did a short live yesterday, and then we talked about it last night. Vladimir Putin set to hold a nuclear evacuation drill with the Kremlin's doomsday plane after moving his family to a secret underground city in Siberia. His generals were taken aback that they were going to be doing such a thing, but okay, here we go. But it happened. It happened today, and that's why I said if he is in Moscow, because flurry of government aircraft activity over Russia draws attention, and these guys, we knew it was coming. I told you it was coming, and I told you it was like a fire drill when we were in school, that the teacher knew when it was going to be, but the kids didn't, and the generals knew when it was going to be, but the pilots and crew and various other people may not have. Anyway, there were just a ton of various flights. Let me down to the. Okay, let me let it load here, I guess. Well, what happened to the radar? Okay, here we go. Various flights taking off and circling, basically. What we were hoping, or what I was hoping would happen, was that they would carry it out and they would fly all the way to the actual underground bunker, if you will. They didn't do that. They did their scramble. They got in the air. They took off. They came back. What it does, it gives us an idea what that scramble zone is. And if they get past that scramble zone, then we have to start wondering, why are they evacuating? And again, all this may play out coming up here very shortly in 5 minutes. Assets affiliated with Russia in the amount of $3 billion was found in financial institutions in the Bahamas, and not really a surprise. Newsweek came out 8 hours ago. Poisoning, sudden disease, accident. Russian elite considers the possibility of removing Putin. An online post from the Ukraine Defense Ministry reads, yeah, I don't, I take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, everybody would like for it to happen, but don't anticipate that happening. Be able, if it does happen, we will have a big woo-hoo, but don't anticipate that happening. I think that's probably propaganda from Ukraine, just kind of trying to stir the pot a little bit. Now, this is an Aramco oil factory in Saudi Arabia, and it was attacked about 9 hours ago by the Iran-backed Houthis. So, United States is also sending a Patriot missile battery to Saudi Arabia to defend themselves potentially against Iran. So, Israel and Iran, Saudi Arabia and Iran, is beginning to get closer and beginning to get closer. Then we've got, I hope I have the story of okay, I'm going to get to that. Okay, I didn't save the story. It doesn't look like. But anyway, Myanmar, they are slaughtering people in Myanmar, and the United States has recognized it, called it a genocide, and yet another area that could possibly be significant in the coming days. Russian defense minister signs a decree to involve kids in the liberation of Ukraine. It is Yun Amria is a radical organization within the framework of the Russian military defense. Members as young as 8 years old. Child soldiers is a whole new level of barbaric war crimes. And when I first saw it, I thought, no, come on, that's some of the craziest propaganda. But it actually, here's the actual order with his actual signature on it. So the battle of light and darkness. Is this it? Again, join me next Sunday and we'll discuss it more. Former Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull testified Monday that right-wing media mogul Rupert Murdoch has done more to divide and damage America with the help of Donald Trump than Russian President Vladimir Putin. Yeah, Trump's a Putin puppet. But yeah, when it comes to direct damage, Fox News and Trump, good on them for calling them out, even though they're, it's Australian, nothing's going to happen to them. Russian occupiers expected Ukrainians to welcome them with bread and salt. In fact, a Ukrainian granny welcomed them with homemade cakes. They were poisoned. She killed 8 occupiers. Zelensky asked, that's a freedom fighter, freedom fighting granny. Zelensky addressed Israel today, and he asked, quote, you cannot mediate between good and evil. I could ask why we are not receiving protection from Israel. Why are we not getting your Iron Dome? That would protect the Jews of Ukraine. Why hasn't Israel joined the sanction regime against Russia? All very good questions. In the Bible, it says at the end, Russia stands alone. Russia not siding with the United States over the sanctions. Russia fighting both Saudi Arabia Israel not standing with America over the Russian sanctions, and potentially fighting Iran and the Saudis at the same time when we're giving patriots to the Saudis. It's a mixed up, mumbled up, shook up world, except for Lola. Hello, LA Lola. I've got one, here we go. I've got one more local story, local to the United States. This, I was sent this footage last night. And for those that are relatively new to the show, the focus of the show has always been on equality, justice, freedom, basic foundations of humanity. They should be anyway. And I get sent a lot of things from people that they see online and or they have taken themselves. And last night, it's spring break time here in the United States when colleges are dismissed for a couple of weeks, and kids generally get away from the winter and the cold in the north and go south and have parties on spring breaks. Florida, the Gulf Coast, Mexico. Anyway, this was in Miami, Florida last night during a, and I talked too long. This was in Miami, Florida last night during a spring break celebration. No one was killed, thankfully. It was one of 7 different major gun incidents that happened in the United States over the weekend. Last night, we had some breaking news that had just come in about shooting outside of a car show and said that there were 10 people shot. Actually, there were 24 people shot, and one of which died. One of the shooters was killed in that incident. People were shot in Texas, in North Carolina, and you know, I showed the other night some kid. I say kid because anybody, you know, just about everybody's a kid when you get to be my age. Some young man tried to do a practical joke in a home improvement store and almost ended up getting his neck broke. And, you know, I played it as a public service announcement because we're tense. We are a tense people. United States citizens are tense at the moment. We've been through a lockdown, a pandemic, an attempted overthrow of the government, multiple big lies being told to divide the country. We are tense, and we have guns. So these things are going to happen. It doesn't, I'm not condoning it, but I'm reporting it. And we need to be aware of it. I've said that repeatedly on here too. Know where you're at. You know, when you go out in public, if you're going to a restaurant, make sure you got multiple exits. Make sure you keep an eye on whoever else might be in there. You just never know. The German word of the day is Wohlfahrtservice. It's a state of decay that results from having it too easy for too long, leading you to selfishly compare your own petty grievances and mediocre accomplishments to the pain and struggle of people who know what the pain and struggle meaning of real problems is. Now, one of the generals I talked to said, you know, he lived in Germany for 12 years and never heard that word, but he thinks it ought to be imported to the United States because it sounds like a lot of people here. Having it too easy for too long, leading you to selfishly compare your own petty grievances and mediocre accomplishments to the pain and struggle of people who know the meaning of real problems. Just something to think about. We've talked about thermobaric bombs, thermobaric weapons. I've shown you a couple examples. Here's one of the best ones yet. Now you can tell they're thermobaric because of the damage it does to the ground around it when the rounds are sent down range. And we also have footage of them, unfortunately, footage of them landing. And you can tell the signature, the difference between the thermobaric rounds and the regular rounds, in that the giant flames, they're basically sucking all the oxygen up from around where the munition is being detonated and creating a giant fireball. And the munition does not hit the ground; it detonates above the ground, and it's a weapon that has been outlawed. Scum and traitors. Okay, thanks. For those that like to make fun of the Russian drones, this is not one to make fun of. It is a kamikaze or a suicide drone, and the thing about this one is it operates on AI. It operates on artificial intelligence. It's sent up. It identifies the targets. Okay. It chooses where, and this is a whole new ball game. This is, and I'm sure United States is cutting edge, and we got AI that's infallible. Yabba 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 yabba. This is. This doesn't this, so you understand, it doesn't need and it doesn't have human control. Okay, it's not controlled by remote, it's not controlled by radio frequencies. It launches, it determines the target, it hits the target and explodes. Another possible ordinance that it's not a possible ordinance, it's been retrieved and we know it's been used. It's the Tornado S9K515, and basically it is launched as you've seen other missiles being launched, and when it starts its downward trajectory, a parachute comes out slowing the descent, and then once it gets vertical, it drops other munitions, cluster bombs. Okay. Just so, because you're going to hear that term a lot because they are being used. And I think that puts us in the category of everything I wanted to get covered tonight. And I bet I didn't show that to you, did I? Did I show you? Did I show the cluster bombs? Let me go back and do it again, just to make sure, because I don't know if I hit the. I didn't. I know I didn't. Okay. My bad. Been a long night, and actually, it's been a long 3.5 weeks. Plus, this software just doesn't operate as smoothly for me as the other two I used before. But okay, here was the shooting in Miami. Nobody was killed in that. I talked about the other shootings. Here's the thermobaric toss system, TOS, that I was talking about. And it catches the ground on fire around it because of the propellant that is used to launch each individual rocket. And then again, here are the detonation patterns, and you can tell the giant burst is the detonation sucking in all the oxygen. It's also called a vacuum bomb, sucking in all the oxygen from around the area, then igniting it, setting it on fire, as compared to a traditional round, which has a signature of impact, explosion, smoke. This, the impacting, there is no impact. The explosion occurs above the ground. You'll see back here an example of a more traditional round explosion. Again, outlawed by the Geneva Convention. Here's the Russian drone. I was, whoa. What happened here? Whoa. What is up with this? Wow. Sorry, it's my laptop. The buttons get stuck. This is the Russian suicide drone I was telling you about. It operates on artificial intelligence, and I've told you all about it. That's what it looks like, and it's a again, one of those things that is a very slippery slope. I'll just say that, as far as introducing technology into warfare. This was what I was talking about, now showing you. And missile reaches its height, it starts its descent, parachute comes out. When it gets vertical, it drops down other munitions. These are what are referred to as cluster bombs. a term you're going to be hearing a lot if you haven't already done so. No, it's Sunday, and this is very fitting, and I've meant to play this for a couple of nights now. And people ask, okay, you're a Christian, you claim Christianity, and at the end you also acknowledge other faiths. Why do you do that? There's only one way that, and okay, if you're a Christian, you have a belief that is the only way for you. Other people have other beliefs, and I just respect their beliefs. Nowhere in the Bible does it say you force people to believe. It doesn't say that at all. It says just the opposite. It says you have a free will to believe whatever you want. So I acknowledge, I try to be broad and acknowledging and being inclusive, because that's what true people of faith practice. And here's an example.
Здесь всегда осуществлялся мир среди множества конфессий. У нас порой разные доктрины, но стремление к миру, стремление жить добрососедски и честно всегда осуществлялось в городе Одесі.
Руський мір, який несе Росія, це не мир, це зло, яке руйнує наші міста, руйнує наші села, вбиває наших людей. Ми молимо Бога, щоб ця війна закінчилася.
До 2 недели назад я стеснялся, что я не знаю украинский язык. Я сегодня горжусь, что я живу в такой город, где я могу говорить только на русский язык. И меня все понимают и все помогают. Это самый хороший город, самая хорошая страна, самая лояльная страна для любой национальности. Я горжусь, что я живу в такой город, где можно так хорошо развиваться, так хорошо работать, и нет ни одной стеснения, нет ни одной проблем, нет ни одной национальности для этого.
Місто Одеса – це велика родина. В цій родині ми різні, але ми єдині. Ми цінуємо все те, що робить нас родиною. Різні, різноманітні, але єдині у цій великій українській багатонаціональній родині. Ми не потребуємо, щоб нас від чогось визволяли.
И поверьте, все мусульмане Украины готовы и просят у Бога, у Создателя нашего, чтобы Аллах, Субхану ва Тааля, сохранил нашу страну, сохранил ее в мире. И все мы, как видите, как показывает, что наша страна объединилась, все объединились в борьбе со злом. А у зла нет национальности. У зла нет национальности, у зла нет национальности. Слава Украине, героям слава!
That's my idea of what it's my idea of what faith should be. Unity, peace, understanding, acceptance. It's okay to have different ideas. It's okay to have different faiths. The key is to allow others the same thing you want for yourself. Everybody wants to believe what they want to believe, but yet they don't want everybody else to believe what each one of those people want to believe. They want everybody to believe what they believe, and that's selfish and childish, and part of the reason our world is in the state that it's in now. Thank you all for watching, and let me just do a brief run through here of updates and make sure that because I don't have a monitor at the moment. There's an ammonia leak at the Sumi ammonia plant, been caused by the shelling. Could be played off as a false flag. Okay. Governor Sumi, Eastern Ukraine. Let's take a look at where that's at. And we'll be right in this area here. And here's Sumi right here. Okay. Sumi, Kharkiv, Kyiv, Donetsk, Luhansk. This is the Donbass region. Zaporizhzhia, where the other nuclear plant is. And again, the governor, this came in 5 minutes ago. Governor Sumi, ammonia leak at the chemical plant, affecting about a 5-kilometer wide area, classed as dangerous to the leak. So this will be portrayed tomorrow on Russian media as a chemical weapon exchange that Ukraine has used a chemical weapon. Just be prepared for that. That seems to be the big news at the moment. The cause of the leak yet to be determined. Russian shelling in the area. The wife of the former Minister of Parliament, Kot Voskesky, tried to take 28 million and 1.3 million euros out of Ukraine via Zakarpattia. The money was found by the Hungarian border guards, and she was forced to declare it. So, yeah, there are obviously some people in Ukraine who are trying to smuggle out assets and possibly get away before being deemed pro-Russian. Okay. Let's check this real quick. We're going to watch this together because this just came in
those areas
51 seconds ago. So this is unvetted, and this is not confirmed. We're watching this, basically you and I are watching it together live.
From what we know from the city mayor and the city council is they're taking Ukrainian citizens, they're sending them through what are called the filtration camps, and then they're being relocated to very distant parts of Russia where they're being forced to sign papers that they will stay in that area for 2 or 3 years, and they will work for free in those areas, because it is a totalitarian state. It is doing what other totalitarian states did in the history. I'm still surprised every time I hear that But the very logic of Russia right now is the logic of the Soviet time, of the Soviet Union, and the logic of the Nazi Germany. It is a completely totalitarian state, and it is acting as one. So from what we know from the city mayor and the city council is they're taking Ukrainian citizens, they're sending them through what are called the filtration camps, and then they're being relocated to very distant parts of Russia where they are being forced to sign papers that they will stay in that area for 2 or 3 years, and they will work for free in those areas. This is exactly what
these are
Soviet Union.
people, I beg your pardon, these are the people who have been removed from Mariupol just in the last few days or few weeks. They're being told
Yes.
they need to go somewhere and work for
Yes.
free, effectively labor camps.
Exactly. Yeah, it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
How do you know this?
We know that from the city mayor, and then the information was also confirmed by the city council. So that is as good as it gets in terms of information we're getting from Mariupol. What is happening over there is very bad. Just this morning, we heard that 5 people were killed. It's another shelling attacks that were taking place during the night. One of them is a 9-year-old boy, which for me as a mother of a 9-year-old boy was particularly painful to read. But they continue to bombard Kharkiv, not so much from air, because apparently Ukrainian army shot down several planes over there. So the pilots of Russian army are now afraid to go to Kharkiv. But they keep on bombarding it from the ground and destroying the infrastructure. I am in touch with many people over there. They're all texting me in Russian, by the way, saying that they hate Putin, they want him out, and they want to know that they will stand, they will keep their there as long as it is possible, but they're under extreme pressure. Again, it's not as bad as in Mariupol, but Kharkiv is second biggest victim to Putin over here in Ukraine right now. Hearing that we have to be neutral, not to be allied with any other countries, and that will keep us safe is just nonsense. It would have been very stupid on our side to believe that, because we were officially neutral. That was part of our constitution in 2014, when Putin annexed Crimea and started the war in Donbass, which in 8 years took 14,000 lives of Ukrainians. So being neutral is not a solution for us. We need guarantees of our security, and guarantees that will be tougher than the one we had under the Budapest Memorandum, where the UK and the United States promised us guarantees of our security in exchange for us giving up our nuclear weapon.
We need
tougher guarantees.
I
I still that NATO is the best guarantee of our security, but NATO itself right now does not seem willing to accept Ukraine, which is a pity for myself. And I do believe that really we should reconsider this, but we need tough guarantees of our security. We are still living near this crazy neighbor who will never give up the idea of going into war with us again.
All right. Well, that's a fitting way to stop. That kind of gives us a good wrap up of what's up over there. Mariupol, who we've been talking about, it's a half an hour since the deadline, and when they were supposed to surrender. And as you just saw, running through the latest updates I've been getting, no reports of a major attack there. Look for that to happen sometime, either later on tonight, our time, or early tomorrow, our time. And we'll be keeping an eye on it. If something does happen, we will pop on with a live broadcast, of course. And if not, then we will see you tomorrow night at 10 p.m. for our live Monday update. This has been News Done Differently. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.